interesting Easter eggs that about my name.
Indeed. In fact, that's one of the
Oh,
videos
come on,
on
McLovin. Is it like today that you just figured it out? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
literally. I just
The hell? What I miss? I started the recording and you guys already started my show. What the fuck is going on here?
No,
It's the first time I've ever started a recording.
No, so essentially, I was saying that for those that are interested actually behind the name ATPX, please go ahead, take a look on Google and maybe find like some more information about like
It sounds like some sort of hellish Easter egg where I'm gonna find it's
it
like
is
animal
Indeed.
porn or something.
it is no, definitely not like that. No.
Welcome to the 174th version of the Llamas Graze. I'm making up the numbers at this point. Dina's working on our new website and she has them tracked by number. So I just quit bothering like putting numbers on the actual recordings. I don't know how, but there's like 30 of them. There's a bunch. So thank you guys, McLovin and Zero X, for being on the show today. And you guys came on to talk about DeFi.money. Is that how I say it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And thank you for having
DeFi.money.
us.
Probably had the coolest artwork I've ever made. Irate created the image to match like your background on your website, and then got the car driving and stuff. So like pretty proud of the art. So that's kind of what I do. Is I just like run the recording bot, talk a little bit, make the Canva art, and then just take all the credit. Replaced by my own guests. If anybody has questions, you can drop them in the Grace chat as McLovin and Zero X do their intros. So I'll let you guys take it away on DeFi.money. Welcome and give us the elevator pitch.
Indeed. So yeah, I'll give a little intro about myself, same with the ATBX, and then we'll dive into DeFi money. So been in the space 2017, cross-chain bridge protocol from 2018 to 22, and moved over to the Llama ecosystem and have been there ever since. And we started this project off in January and been building furiously for the last couple of months. Went live in September. And I'll stop there, and then we'll dive in after ATBX gives his intro.
Yeah, for sure. So I've also been in the space since 2017. Started working since 2020 on some lending protocols as well, predominantly as an anon. But yeah, both McLovin and I, the both of us, we are both the core contributors that are working on the operational side of DeFi.money. So we do everything. We cover every little corner that isn't necessarily tech related. So yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Wonderful, thank you, sir. And as for the product DeFi.money, it is a refactor of CRVUSD, but tailored for L2s and with a whole host of advancements, which we'll speak to, of course, on this call. Just to touch on them at a high level, we've kind of tailored the Llama liquidation algorithm for L2s and in our use cases specifically. We've obviously gone kind of multi-chain by default, so we're natively multi-chain using layer 0. And so typically, there's like the token, the stable coin that's, can go cross-chain, but the kind of the unique attribute of us in particular, and I think we are the first, is the entire protocol is EVM agnostic. So that means we simply duplicate itself across all different L2s and the governance module as well. So like the cool thing you can do there is instead of curve wars, you get chain wars or chains or foundations, whether it be Optimism Foundation, Origin Foundation, doesn't matter. They can actually lock the governance token and then increase emissions directed towards the chain itself. So we find that to be pretty cool, but that's kind of the omni-chain advancement. Then we, I guess from like a lateral scalability perspective, we're allowing a larger set of lateral types, i.e. long tail assets. So that allows us to really bring utilities kind of all these underutilized assets and all these L2s that no one can really use, and there's nothing to do with them. But it also allows us to scale much greater. So we have much more collateral types. That means our AUM increases drastically as well. Last but not least is just a general improvement on UX, and that's simply from product design. As you guys have probably seen and played with CurveUSD, it's a little tricky to use for the average man. So we've tried to simplify that as much as possible, just from a product perspective, but also from like native flash loans and zaps. So a good example of that is the closed loans app, particularly when you don't have enough stablecoin, whether it be money or CurveUSD, to repay back your loan. You got to go buy some and then like manually close your loan. We've actually created something that is an app effectively that allows you to close the loan in one click with existing collateral. So the collateral you actually use to create the loan. So like really simplifying the amount of steps, simplifying the UI, the copy, all that good stuff to make it as easy as humanly possible to use. So yeah, those are the big kind of like 4 or 5 pillars. So I'll stop there, but TBX, please dive into more details if you'd like.
Oh, I got one question quick before you go into
Sure.
even
Yes,
deeper.
sir.
Does CurveUSD have to be deployed on the L2 by Curve before you guys can go and reach out to that chain?
Great question. Great question. So we're obviously there's a very friendly fork. We're great friends with Mitch, and he's obviously sanctioned all this. So we scale in unison with CurveUSD. That's kind of the mandate. They're like they're kind of like blue chips. We're longer tail assets, and we'll grow together. And actually, our pegs, if we today, like our pegs actually help each other. So like neither stable coin can actually go out of whack because the other one will correct itself. So it's like a really kind of mutually synergistic relationship in that regard. But to answer your question, it is indeed a lot easier if they're deployed. We can do it if not, but it makes our life, for the reason I just mentioned, a lot easier if they're already deployed there.
So you will grow with CurveUSD.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Go ahead, Xerox.
Yeah, so one thing is for certain actually with Ethereum's roadmap, it's that we are essentially in a rollup centric roadmap where we'll currently already see quite a significant amount of new layer 2 actually popping up. But each of these layer 2s, each of these ecosystems, right, have like needs for capital and liquidity. And the majority of the assets that are actually deployed on these layer 2s are predominantly on-chain assets that are more what we would so call, more longer tail. And the majority of the current CDP protocols or current borrowing protocols and lending protocols not necessarily are essentially going to collateralize them or use them as collateral, right? So this is actually like some of the things that we saw that we could actually bring like a lot of value to these ecosystems, because one of the things that like really changes up everything is the Llama liquidation engine, so that enables the soft liquidations. So essentially, because of the Llama liquidations, and we can actually facilitate more longer tail and more exotic type of assets as collateral, due to the fact that the soft liquidations actually uh, put less pressure on the liquidity pools on chain. So therefore, we can first of all add more different type of on-chain assets, but also we can look at also looking at the LTV of these assets as well, and change the parameters for that and make that even more capital efficient, because the majority of these, right, like because we can have like a softer type of liquidation for these assets. It makes it a lot easier for us as well to look, okay, hey, can we potentially like move the LTVs up significantly to provide more even higher capital efficiency. Maybe I'm rambling up a little bit too much about that, but that is like, you know, one of the things that we saw that we could really really change about that. And the other thing as well is that we are natively cross-chain. We are built on top of layer 0. So a powerful primitive of this is essentially that on every chain that we have a native deployment on, we essentially will be able to provide users with the capability to collateralize certain assets on one specific chain and be able to open up a loan on a different chain where liquidity is needed at that point. So this really points, you know, like really works very well synergistically as well with like how our tokenomics also work with chain wars, where we could essentially see people that have quite a lot of assets on a certain chain, but would like to actually bridge over some liquidity to another chain where they see a lot more different opportunities on that chain, and that would be possible through us, all through our UI. So this is something that we are currently working on. It's being like these functionalities are being audited currently, and should be coming relatively soon as well, starting with like the current chains that we're currently on, which are Arbitrum, Base, and Optimism.
So what do you have live right now on those three chains? Like what ability do we have to be able to interact with the protocol currently today?
So currently,
Yeah.
it is possible to seamlessly bridge, of course, the money stablecoin. That is the first functionality. While we are currently still working, well, actually not working, but it's being audited right now for the cross-chain possibilities of collateralizing on one chain and then opening up a loan on another chain. That is all being audited right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to speak to kind of like the basics. So we're live, as noted, we're live on Arbitrum, Base, and Optimism. We've got around 6 collateral types on Arbitrum, 4 on Base, one's coming quite soon this week, and then we've got 5 on Optimism. So these are all like kind of obvious assets, relatively blue chip, but we've got kind of a running list that's being assessed by Llama Risk, in fact, who kind of vets our collateral types, and we just add them one by one, and that's it. Yeah, so you can go and utilize the protocol right now. It's live, and we obviously have a points program and all that good stuff live as well.
Points? Somebody say points?
Yeah, points.
Can you drop some links in the chat so I can keep track of
Yeah.
like everything? I mean, I've got the Twitter account. I just need like the website or like the link to the portal or like your
Yeah,
link
so
tree.
those are kind of our live markets at the moment, and you can just switch between the chains as you need. And then here's the points program as well.
Are you guys
So
seeing
go
like a pretty
ahead.
steady growth of use? Are you marketing hard and like spiking usage, or how does it feel like it's going number wise?
That's a great question. I mean, we're seeing a lot of organic growth. I mean, we've put no kind of, we're not like incentivizing subsidies or anything like that. No yield farming at the moment outside of one pool with CowSwap. But it's a lot of users doing like relatively small loans. So that's a good thing. I mean, we're happy to see like general retail being able to utilize the protocol. And then once we start, you know, we've kept all the debt ceilings like specifically very low for a reason. But once we start raising those, you know, people can put in, you know, 1 to 5, 1 to 10 million, then we expect obviously institutions and all those good guys to follow with bigger
Right.
size. And,
People with
you know,
a low debt limit, they're not even interested to be able to it's too
exactly,
small for the whales to even touch.
exactly. And that, you know, you coincide that with, you know, obviously TGE stuff, and then you get a pretty catalyst for growth effectively.
It sounds like a really good bull use case for CurveUSD, and it's exciting that it would take away if you guys are like another on ramp for CurveUSD, it's a whole different branch that's pulling in different people that you know wouldn't necessarily have seen CurveUSD through the Curve channel, and especially since you guys are automatically on L2s. Like you guys are like the L2. I guess I mean I'm trying to think about like ways to like spin it or pitch it, but like the L2 home base for CurveUSD, it would be cool to have. It's almost like you guys are like an assisting the growth of CurveUSD.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. I mean, it truly is like a synergistic, I hate to use that word, but a synergistic relationship. What you can kind of see us that we're like a little more retail friendly, just given like how we've designed the UI and how easy it is to use everything. Obviously, being on L2s, everything's much cheaper as well. So you can kind of see it, yeah, as like a symbiotic growth for the two protocols. I think that's the best way to put it.
The website is badass. Like it's definitely your theme is it reaches across all of your socials, and then the actual app itself is or the DApp, I guess, is freaking so slick and clean. And I'm comfortable with it right off the bat without ever using the website before. Like it's laid out so cleanly. I love it.
Nice. That's very good to hear. Because yeah, I've worked my dick off to get it like as easy as possible to use. So that's very good to hear. I appreciate that.
Put your crypto to work and poof, money will appear. Okay, I was thinking
Indeed.
poof something else, but so I had one question from Odin. Who is your dream partner other than Mitch?
Oh man, this is actually like a very, very interesting question because like both me and Love, we go back and forth, right? Like how can we potentially further grow the protocol? What can we do? What are some of the so-called, synergistic protocols that we can work with, right? And um I mean it depends a little bit, right? Like on the DeFi side, definitely like Pendle would be something that we would be very glad to work with. There are like AMMs as well, right? Like we are currently talking with Aerodrome and Velodrome. Those guys have also been kick-ass, being able to help us support for more markets as well, on base and optimism. But then this is something that was like kind of interesting for me as well that I thought about because we want to grow money to a certain point where I would say it reaches a critical mass that allows us to actually also look at different other use cases for the stablecoin as well. So one of the things, of course, would be payments and stuff like that. We've talked a little bit about that, but our main focus currently is to essentially grow the protocol as much as possible, get as many DeFi native integrations as much as possible. And yeah, that's our first focus, but there's definitely like a roadmap ahead where we could definitely see DeFi.money and also the money stablecoin expanding to a lot more use cases outside of just what we currently offer.
Thank you for that response. For Odin. Odin wants to know if you're talking to Inverse about Dala and Money LP when. Dollar bill. Okay, you can just skip that
So
question. You don't have to
no, no,
answer
no,
him.
no, 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 no. I mean, like, inverse guys, like definitely a very good team. Love to work with them. We love to work with anyone actually within the space. We're very open. If there are any teams, that are willing or to work with us, we're more than happy to facilitate anything. Happy to work with anyone. LP tokens, that's very interesting actually. We would actually want to have more exotic collateral types actually onboarded. Obviously that has to go through risk assessment through Llama Risk first, but that is definitely something that we're looking at. Another collateral type that we are also looking at are Pendle PT. YT tokens, we're trying to look into that direction as well. We see that some of these have like a lot of use cases, and we would love to actually be able to support that. But definitely in discussion as well with the risk team, what is possible, what is not possible. in the current ecosystem, in the current state that we are. For us, of course, we want to scale as much as possible. We would want to onboard as much as possible, but it's good to actually have like an external risk team as well to tell you, okay, hey, maybe sometimes for now might need to wait a little bit until the market is a little bit more mature for this, and then you would be able to pull this off. But yeah, more than happy to work with anyone and to list any type of like collateral type.
Indeed, and I'll echo that. Obviously, core part of our growth strategy is having kind of longer tail assets. So yeah, if any team wants to reach out, wants us to list their collateral type, just let us know. We're happy to have it assessed and then get it onboarded as quick as possible.
And that's where
Yeah.
there's a break, right, between you guys and CurveUSD. There's you could take different collateral than because it's a synthetic peg between the two of you. You guys don't have to match CurveUSD's collateral type. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think more specifically, it's the fact that we're on L2s and we've tailored kind of a lot of our Oracle components and the Llama algorithm itself for longer tail assets. So like the fact we're on L2s, liquidation bots can move much quicker and much cheaper. The arbitrage opportunities are more fruitful because there's less overhead for gas, for example. So you can basically have like a cleaner liquidation by the fact we're on an L2, so everything's cheaper and faster by default, and then the fact that we've actually tailored our oracles and then the Llama algorithm for that specifically. So like that's the advancement there is like we truly are tailored to L2s and longer tail assets, so we can kind of like stretch the collateral types much farther than if we were deployed on mainnet, for example.
And
Does
it
that make
might
sense?
just be a totally the same asset, just a wrapped version on an L2 that looks different than what CurveUSD allows. Like, I mean, just as something as dumb as like AETH, right? Like Arbitrum Ether versus mainnet Ether. There's, that would like, it seems like that would be an automatic thing for you guys to be able to roll out as a collateral type, but it might take Mitch longer to be able to do it for Curve. So you guys seem like you could be able to move quicker and add collateral types faster than maybe somebody who wasn't specializing in L2s.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah,
That's a great way to put
for sure, and also right, like CRVUSD, right? The protocol is essentially like only deployed on Ethereum mainnet. So we actually have like also access to layer 2 collateral types that might not be available on Ethereum layer 1, right? So this is also something very interesting as well. And this is also one of the points that we see why it could be very interesting as well for a lot of these new emerging layer 2s or alternative EVMs that are launching, but that do actually have quite a bit of like native assets, new native assets with a good liquidity profile. They might have like an oracle that we can work with, and then based on those two requirements alone, we can already look at potentially like listing them. First, obviously has to go through Llama Risk. They will review it, but that's essentially the only two things that like would be necessary. Like a good on-chain liquidity profile. It doesn't necessarily have to be something crazy. I think when we filter, it's like, okay, everything above 1 million of on-chain liquidity, and if you have like a decent oracle, then yeah, that could already be considered for review, that we send over to Llama Risk and ask them, hey guys, we think this is really cool. I think we can provide like a lot of utility for that community. So yeah, could you review this for us? And if they do come back and tell us, yeah, it is available, it's good as a collateral option. These are the parameters that we give you guys, and then yeah, the listing goes very, very quickly.
Has anybody ever successfully like broke the code or like or made cross-chain collateral work that you guys have ever seen, or would you kind of be like the first ones to market with a functioning cross-chain collateral engine?
Yeah, Yeah, so one of the protocols that we looked at was Tapioca. So they launched their testnet actually a while back. Uh, but we try to like like we were like, okay, hey, we think that we could do something very different with llama liquidations as well. So this is like one of the reasons why we were like, okay, hey, we can provide like a lot of utility for all of these types of ecosystems. So we offer like a different approach compared to like Tapioca DAO. That's definitely one thing. Could you repeat like the question actually for the other question that you had, but I forgot.
About
What was it again?
for cross-chain collateral, if you guys would be like the first to market with a functioning cross-chain collateral engine.
Yeah. So yeah, that is we are believe if we have it like launched soon, then we would, I believe, to be the first to be able to do this. We see quite a bit of like other CDP protocols. They are all launching as a singular protocol, just on one chain. One example would be the Liquidity V2 forks that are essentially being deployed on various layer twos. Those are all essentially like isolated forks of them on that specific chain, with no real cross-chain capability between like the original Liquidity V2 fork that is on Ethereum mainnet. And yeah, I believe there are no other CDP protocols like us other than Tapioca that they are actually essentially doing this cross-chain, providing this cross-chain capability for loans.
Yeah, I mean, you think of it kind of as like a mesh in a way, like where I'm just making this up as we go, but they're kind of like a mesh network on top of all these EVMs, right? And you can just kind of move seamlessly between them. Obviously, the collateral types and the governance components, but also obviously the stablecoin itself. So like that, I think, is the most unique part, and then I would say an industry first. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but I
But
think it is an industry
the
first.
vision of that is the end game vision of L2s of scaling ETH, right? Like that's that's the idea, is that we're never supposed to care what L2 we're on. It just works for across all of them. Like it's just one giant mesh network, like you said, of like, and you guys are creating the back end that connects all these collateral types cross chain.
So this is the thing, right? Like the vision that I also have, right? Like this is also something that like me and Love we also talk about quite regularly, is about like eventually having this UI where it doesn't really matter which chain you're essentially providing the collateral for. You just provide the collateral and it will get deposited on like the chain that would have the lowest interest rates, the lowest borrow rates, and you would essentially be able to borrow from that place. And then of course that would be like the end all be all, right? So abstracting away all of the chains and just being able to just, hey, I have this collateral. If I deposit it over here, what is basically the borrow rate that I can get? And it will just abstract that all for you away. Like, okay, which chain do I have to get on? And if you are not like that much into details, you're not that much of a pro, you could essentially also be like, okay, hey, like, okay, if I want to be like quite safe with my borrowing, with my loan, I want to have like a safe option. That will have like certain presets, that make sure that like everything your loan parameters all set like quite safely. And if you're more like a pro, you would be able to like adjust certain things. Okay, hey, maybe these type of chains I don't want it to be on, or like, okay, I don't want to necessarily have it super safe. I want to be a bit more aggressive with my borrowing, so my LTV can be like changed up a little bit. But yeah, that would be like a very, very cool way, like a vision that we see for the protocol itself.
That's exciting and cutting edge, and hopefully hand in hand with the vision of the end goal for ETH anyway, right? Like this is what the game plan has been from the beginning. I mean, that and like, dumping ETH on us all the time to from the ETH Foundation, but that wasn't written
Right.
down. so this is like really it is hand in hand with the growth concept of how this is supposed to work, and it's exciting to see you guys like on the ground floor of that. Now, are you going to be able to create enough fee generation from the borrowing at end that what you're doing to be able to continue to grow into other markets? So what's the cash flow for you guys? Like, where do you take a commission on the loans?
Yep. So there's an interest rate effectively you pay for creating a loan, and that is the revenue stream. And so that's, driven by utility. But then you kind of need a demand side to temper that a bit, and that's kind of where leverage comes in. Obviously a feature of CRVUSD as well. And so you effectively are taking a collateral type, buying money with it, taking that money, buying more collateral, and looping it, right? So you're effectively doing that, as much as you can until you get so kind of like to the liquidation range that you would want to proceed. So that puts pressure on the rates to kind of further increase revenue. So you got kind of like the supply side on the CDP side and then the demand side on the leverage side. And that synergistically, like, of course, creates like a healthy fee mechanism. There's a whole bunch of other kind of verticals we're thinking about. We won't reveal them quite yet, but they all kind of play into this fee generation. And I think one distinction, and I guess like by virtue of being able to creating a new protocol, all of our fee mechanisms and economic components are built around the stable coin, CDP mechanism itself. There is no kind of like AMM or any other component that you have to like distribute fees to. So like we can kind of capture everything and direct it towards, protocol growth effectively versus like having it bleed out in other departments, if that makes sense.
Great, perfect answer. Thank you.
Mhm.
Did you guys want to? I mean, we talked about points. We talked about your TGE being, coinciding with a big raise on the debt ceiling on what you're going to be able to issue. So, are there other things that we should be doing right now? Should we be just get on and make some loans across different on different chains, or just interact with the protocol? Go after the point system specifically? Like, what's your suggestion for how the llamas
Mhm.
can get involved?
Yeah. So I'll start with the obvious stuff, and then ADBX has some more nuanced components to speak to with regards to like interest rate arbitrage and all that stuff. But yeah, very obvious. Like on L2, super cheap to just play around. You can go create like $5 loan and just play around. You know what I mean? So it's like very easy. There's like a low stakes in that regard. So like first and foremost, just go use the app, see what you think. Again, we designed the UX to be as easy as possible. So like always open to feedback if there's an easier way to do things. So number one, use the app. Number two, if you've got some loan, stake it in. If you got some money, stake it in Curve. Then you've got the LP token, stake that in our earn protocol or earn page, and you earn points. And they're like you're pretty well rewarded. I can say that. And they're based on epochs, right? And kind of each epoch, the amount of points ticks down and down and down. So the earlier you get started, the more points you earn. And this goes unsaid. Obviously, points will correlate with some future TGE items. So yeah, that's all very obvious stuff. I won't say anymore. But all that, it'll cost you like 10 cents in gas. So like just go play around. That's like my big mandate. And then we've got S money itself, which is staked money. And that's earning real yield right now. So that earns revenue from kind of the arbitrage between peg keepers, and then it's redistributed to S money holders. So that's again super easy. The APY is a little low right now, but it'll kind of like drastically go up and go down until we kind of like reach an equilibrium. But yeah, again, that's pretty straightforward. That's also on the earn page. Um, I'll stop there. Those are all the obvious things. Just go play around, stake an LP token. It's super cheap and relatively easy to do. So
All right, awesome. Thank
that's
you.
it.
And that's everybody who's listening to the Graze here on a recording. I will drop the website for the app in the YouTube channel comments. And then Odin wanted to know if you guys were doing a referral code for any of the points referrals.
Yep.
Yes, so
We
there
do
is
actually
a
have
referral program.
yes.
Go
So
ahead, ATBX.
I'll go in and get my referral code made with the Llamas multisig then. No, not you, Odin. You don't get the points. They're going to treasury. So I'll get that set up also. Hold on, let me tag Panda. He loves it when we do this. And
Cool.
we can give him a little job. He can do a referral code for us. All right, guys.
On the side of like like an like an arbitrage a little bit, there is actually like a little bit of like an arbitrage opportunity right now on base. We actually see that like okay, one of the things is that like the liquidity on base is not as significant as it is on Arbitrum and Optimism. We do see that, and we try to like we have plans to improve upon that. But one way that it is right now is that like money on base is a little bit depegged, and because it is a little bit depegged, because of how peg keepers work, and how interest rate is essentially um, inverse correlated to the interest rates of the protocol itself. The interest rates are actually quite high. So if there are people out there that are interested, money is essentially 1-to-1 to the US dollars. So if for those that want to provide liquidity, there is like essentially like an arbitrage that you could do, providing liquidity on the curve pools on base. So that is something that is available for the people over there. And yeah, I think oh, and if you want to read more on like peg keepers and how the interest rates are inverse correlated to the peg of the stablecoin, I actually have like a very good article that I wrote about that will drop as well in the chat for people that are interested to read.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. I gave you we got 40 minutes in here, and I don't want to go keep you on for a full hour and make you tired. And it's the middle of the night in London. And, I just don't want to do that to you guys. It's time to go to the bar or the pub or whatever the fuck you guys do in London. It's like 10 in the morning here, so I got to go back to work. I got a real job. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you so
call.
much,
And
I'll let you get back to work.
I'll get it posted for you and share the YouTube link. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Good day. Chat soon. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.